And hi there, everybody. Russ Lewis in the KHOU newsroom just after 2:15 here on a Wednesday afternoon. Welcome to all of you watching on all of our digital platforms today. We've been watching what you've been clicking on, and we're covering a lot from the newsroom today. The big story right now, the president is on his way to Texas right now. He is in the air. He spent several hours on the ground earlier today in Dayton, Ohio. He was meeting there with survivors and victims' families of that mass shooting in Dayton over the weekend there. So we expect him to do the same when he lands in El Paso soon. And we expect a lot of those events to be happening during our 4 o'clock newscast. We have Brett Buffington there on the ground. We have several live feeds as well. So we'll be covering that extensively on the 411 today as the president lands in El Paso. We don't know exactly his itinerary. They keep a lot of that secret until it's actually happening, but we will be along with him as he makes that stop in Texas today. Again, he is in the air in Air Force One right now, making his way from Dayton, Ohio to El Paso. We'll let you know when he lands on our digital platforms, also on TV if we're on the air at that time. In response to the shooting at that El Paso Walmart, we want to let you know tax-free weekend in the state of Texas is coming up this weekend. And we found out today that the Houston Police Department has authorized $1.5 million in overtime to put extra officers in shopping areas around the city. The mayor and the police chief talked to reporters earlier today. The mayor says no specific threat here in Houston, doesn't want to freak anybody out, but he also wants people to feel safe, because if you've been out on tax-free weekend when all those back-to-school items and a lot of clothing is tax-free, sales tax-free, you know that brings out extra shoppers. A lot of the stores are packed. There'll be big crowds, and anytime these days there are big crowds, so a lot of people get nervous in public places like that. So the mayor wants everybody, he says, to feel safe when they're out shopping this weekend. So again, $1.5 million extra dollars will be spent on police overtime to put more officers in those parts of town. Another story that we see you clicking on a lot on our website, and actually we brought this up maybe a week or so ago, but it's kind of gained some more steam on the internet, and a lot of you are seeking out this information again, so I'm going to bring it up in case you haven't seen it. We're talking about 15 apps that you need to be aware of that could be on your kids' phones that could make them vulnerable to predators and other things maybe you don't want them exposed to. So we list those 15 apps there. They actually come from a sheriff in Florida, but you know, pretty much universal around the country here for things to look for. A couple I had not heard of. I have a couple of teenagers, and I had not heard of a couple of these apps. One of them is Meet Me, and that is a website that does focus on dating, and your teenager could come in contact with somebody much older on that website than you want them talking to, probably. So that was one of the apps mentioned. Another one is Scout, which is kind of a flirting app. I had not heard of that one either. And that one apparently also does not verify age. So somebody could say they're 15 and they're really, 30. So those are a couple of the 15 apps on that that we've focused on our website, and you can definitely go there and read about all of them, get some details on what each one is. Maybe you've heard the name, but you don't know exactly what it is, or you don't know exactly how it may put your child at risk. And that's the important thing that's detailed on our story on our website if you'd like to check that out. Okay, also the other big story we're looking at today is the weather, because we do have a heat advisory now for Houston. A lot of the surrounding areas had one. Now the city of Houston does as well, because it is very hot out there on this Wednesday afternoon. Erika's been tracking that for us. Where are we at right now, Erika?
Oh, we're officially at 96 degrees right now. So keep in mind the hottest temperature we've had all summer, 97. That includes yesterday's high that we had yesterday afternoon. But yesterday we had storms that popped up in the afternoon. So that helped kind of cap us off with our high early. It was about 2:30 p.m. I think we have a good chance of maybe seeing temperatures exceed that high temperature in isolated spots also across the viewing area. Here's that heat advisory that's in effect. It does include our entire viewing area, but not only us. Check out just how large of a region is under this heat advisory right now. It extends all the way to parts of Kansas. That includes Mississippi, also parts of Louisiana, even a sliver of Tennessee there. So the reason for this giant area that's dealing with this not very fun heat for this time of the year is because we're under the influence of an area of high pressure. And this area of high pressure is not only keeping us hot, we still have Texas humidity. Take a look at these dew points. This is actually the reason why the National Weather Service issued a heat advisory at about 10:30 a.m. It was specifically for our coastal counties, and you can clearly see why. Dew points right now significantly higher than the dew points that we're seeing for our northern counties. 77-degree dew points. Factor that in with mid-90-degree temperatures right now. It feels oppressively hot. So feel like temperatures that we're seeing right now is 108 out in Palacios, which is the actual the thresholds in order for heat advisories to be issued. So this advisory is in effect until 7 p.m. But our big concern is for our coastal counties, and you can clearly see as we head to our northern counties where dew points aren't as high, that it doesn't feel as bad. Feels like temperatures closer to the century mark right now. So that's kind of a good explainer as to why we look at the dew points and how much moisture is in the atmosphere and why that influences the feel like temperature out there. Couple of coastal showers, nothing like we saw yesterday. Even yesterday was relatively quiet, but it's even quieter. High pressure is going to help suppress rain chances, and this is actually the last bit of isolated showers that are in the forecast for the rest of the week. Into the weekend, notice we're going to be on the dry side, especially as we head into this evening, and it's not going to cool down much. Here we are for this afternoon, feeling on average about 105, but that could range depending where you are running errands this afternoon. If you're in our northern counties, you feel closer to 100 degrees. Closer to the coast, you're feeling more like 108. That could get even hotter, up to 110, I think, for some areas. Feel like temperatures by this evening with partly cloudy skies starting to slowly cool down. It's still going to feel like we're in the triple digits, though. And then overnight tonight, warm and muggy. We'll cool down to the upper 80s. So that's as cool as we're going to get for the next several days. Here's that area of high pressure I mentioned. Pretty much all summer long, we've been talking about we're under the influence of this high pressure, but the center of it has actually been west of us for the last several weeks, I should say. But now notice what's going to happen. The center of this area of high pressure, it's moving east, and it's going to sit right on top of us here in Texas. So that's why we're talking about the hottest temperatures that we've seen all summer. We haven't had this pattern move in quite just yet, and we have a good chance of seeing our first triple-digit temperature on the actual temperature. That means feel like temperatures are going to be even higher. Next 3 days, here's what we're tracking: a gradual increase in temperature again as that area of high pressure slowly moves on top of Texas. That area of high pressure, it suppresses rain chances. It's still sunny, but the problem is it's sunny, it's hot, it's still pretty humid in here. You just don't want to enjoy the outdoors, and we're likely going to have heat advisories for a good chunk of Texas and all the surrounding areas for a few days. Make sure you're listening to your body, guys, the next several days. This is heat that we haven't felt yet this summer. I know you're probably thinking it's been hot all summer, but this is going to be even hotter, so make sure you give your body plenty of liquids. Make sure you're giving yourself lots of breaks. Try to run your errands early in the day if you can, or once the sun sets, or later on in the evening. That's probably your best rule of thumb for the next several days and even into the weekend. Okay, so we haven't officially hit 100 degrees yet for 2019. If we look back at recent years, last year we had 5 days of triple-digit temperatures. 2015, that wasn't fun. Let's not talk about it. 2014, though, was the last time that we haven't seen a triple-digit temperature. And if we actually look back at data that goes back to the start of the 21st century, 2014 is the last time that this has happened. Now, if you go back previous years, it's about a 50-50 chance that this will happen. If you look back at records about 50 years from then until now. So something interesting to talk about. Could we see these above average temperatures? We have could we see triple-digit temperatures? We have a very good chance of doing so. All right, so something else, you guys are probably interested in the tropics, and I got good news for you. We're still not worried about any development within the next 2 to 5 days. Always happy to report this at this time of the year. Again, We'll keep a close eye on it because we are getting close to peak season, which officially is September 10th. So we'll make sure to continually update you guys on that. But here we are, your 7-day outlook. Don't be alarmed if we up these numbers because models are hinting that we have possibly a good chance of seeing our first triple-digit day this weekend. Make sure to stay up to date with our forecast and we'll kind of pinpoint these numbers as we get closer to this weekend. But again, stay cool, stay hydrated, and I'll have your latest forecast coming up at 4 o'clock on KHOU 11. Russ?
Erika, thanks very much. I want to remind you as well, we do have a reporter at the courthouse downtown today for the sentencing phase now of the David Temple trial. You remember he was found guilty for a second time yesterday for the murder of his pregnant wife back in 1999. He was granted a new trial after it was found that there was some misconduct by prosecutors in that case. But again, he was convicted of murder a second time yesterday, and now they're in the process of figuring out how much more time he will spend in prison. He's already served more than a decade on that conviction the first time around. So a reporter there in case something happens with the sentencing of David Temple. And also we're watching for the president to land in El Paso. We expect that to happen sometime in the 3 o'clock hour this afternoon. Could happen a little before that. We will let you know here on our digital platforms. And of course, we're on TV with the 411 coming up at 4 o'clock today. So we will see you then. I'm Russ Lewis. Have a great afternoon, everybody.